For a week, our crew searched between the trees for things that crawl, scurry, and leap. This is a culinary adventure, not for the faint of heart. But nothing prepared us for the moment we bit into a sizzling skewer of, well, you'll have to see it to believe it. Dare to watch? This is An Giang province to the south of Vietnam. It's a 4-hour bus ride from Ho Chi Minh City. But if you're a foodie and would like to taste the wildest flavors that the country has to offer, every hour of the day trip is worth it. The animal we found in An Giang leaps. Don't let the innocent faces fool you. They're a farmer's nightmare and can ruin a bumper crop pretty quickly if left unchecked. These are the chipmunks, or nen in Vietnamese, and, as you probably are already expecting, they're also on the menu. Weighing just 250 grams, but about as big as a farmer's forearm, chipmunks have become the bane of fruit farmers' existence. These furry raiders can wreak havoc on crops. But where some see a pest, others see an opportunity. The people here have long since learned of using the jungle to bulk up their diet. In a classic example of, if you can't beat them, eat them, many resourceful locals have turned to trapping and eating these garden invaders. You won't find chipmunk meat in any market or supermarket. To taste this unique dish, one must catch it themselves, or know someone who does. Using repurposed metal cages that are supposed to be used for catching field rats, these men lay them in wait within the jungles, where they know the chipmunks frequent. After a day or two, they'd come back and check to see if any of the critter has fallen into it. This is a pretty nice catch, because the traps are rather simple and cheap. They would lay dozens of these in the jungle surrounding their homes. Once caught, the transformation from pest to plate begins. We were granted rare permission by a local to film this process, which might be unsettling for some viewers. First, the caged chipmunks are laid on the ground, and our chef for today carefully selects a few for cooking. Being a furry animal, it'll be hard to cook with all the hair covering its body. As a result, the first step, after the animal is euthanized, is using a blowtorch to quickly singe off the chipmunk's fur, a process that takes a couple of seconds. The smell of singed fur fills the yard, which is a bit stomach-churning for those who aren't used to the smell. Next, the roasted carcass is trimmed. Using a pair of scissors, our chef cut off all the bony and inedible parts of the chipmunk. That's the paws and the tail. At this point, they're laid down in a tub and fill with clean water to wash all the dirt, ash, and remaining fur off the bodies. But that's not all. He went out into the front yard and cut off a handful of a lemongrass. The lemongrass is folded in half to release its fragrant essence, then scrub onto the chipmunk's skin. It not only takes out the last of the funk, but also give the meat a citrusy smell that can really get your appetite going even before it's set on the grill. The next step is to get the entrails and all the organs out. There are quite a few parts inside the chipmunk that don't taste great if left in. To make the chipmunks extra spicy and tasty, a full bottle of sauté chili oil is added as a marinade. When it's mixed in, we really get a good whiff of just how delectable the upcoming meal is going to become. Now, here's the best part, grilling. There's no propane grill here. Instead, the chipmunk is going to be cooked the old-fashioned way, over a charcoal fire. The whole setup is as simple as a pile of charcoal bracketed by 3 bricks with a grate on top. The flame is kept high and hot all throughout by our chef by using a handheld fan. Occasionally, he would flip the chipmunks around to make sure that every part gets a nice, good sear. And that's that. The chipmunks are taken off the heat and onto a plate. They can be eaten alone, but more often paired with a bowl of white rice. It also goes together awesomely with a mug of beer. But you know what's missing? A homemade dipping sauce. Fortunately, our host hasn't forgotten about it at all. Using a mortar and pestle, spice is ground down, and a little bit of tart Thai lime is squeezed into the mix. Add a bit of sugar, and you have a nice sweet and sour dip that cuts right through the savoriness of the meat. But how does it taste? If you've ever had rat meat, another delicacy in Vietnam, why on earth would anyone choose to eat chipmunk? It's definitely not for everyone. This hidden delicacy offers a glimpse into the resourcefulness of rural communities and the unexpected turns that food culture can take. So the next time you bite into a piece of tropical fruit, spare a thought for the farmers of An Giang and the surprising way they've turned their garden invaders into one hidden gem of a delicacy. While chipmunk might be one of the most shocking delicacies you've ever heard of, An Giang's culinary surprises don't end there. What you're witnessing is the aftermath of a successful wood frog hunt. From this, An Giang's locals will create a savory snack that's as unexpected as it is popular: dried wood frogs. But how exactly does one go from a bag of live frogs to a crunchy snack? And more importantly, what compels people to eat these tiny tree dwellers? The hunt for wood frogs always start at night, which is when they would leave their lairs to find either food or mates. During harvest seasons, when the frogs are most active, you'd find hunting parties with headlamps, like so descending onto the fields. But it's not just adults that are out catching frogs. There are children, too. Unlike other kids with excess screen time, these kids grows up close to nature and spend most of their times on the field. Money is hard to come by, so to get a bit of allowance and help their family, they take on jobs like these to earn a few coins to the side. The challenge begins when they're out on the field. Wood frogs have excellent camouflage ability with its muddy-looking skin. In the dark and the mud, it takes a very sharp pair of eyes to find them lurking. Fortunately, these people have had years of experience finding them. And once they do, catching them is trivial. The frogs have a funny tendency to freeze in the light. Shine the headlamp right on top of them, and they'd be immobilized and can be picked up easily. By the end of the night, we already have over a dozen squirming frogs in the bag. The day's catch is weighed about 2 kilograms or a pound. This isn't a bad catch, mind you. Each wood frog doesn't weigh much to begin with, barely 1/4 of an ounce. The children are paid in cash for their hard work, and the frogs are packed up and delivered to one man, who will turn these into these. Every day, this local chef buys wood frogs from hunting parties and process them into dried frog snacks. While we didn't come to his workshop soon enough to watch how the frogs are processed, what we found was just as interesting. Large racks filled with skinned frogs were laid out in the sun. In time, the sun would dry out the frogs completely. The resulting snack becomes shatteringly crisp, while still retaining the natural savoriness of the meat. This turns the dried wood frogs into very indulging snacks. Once they're packaged up, they're put on sale in street-side carts like this. The price will differ from season to season, depending on the supply of wood frogs at that time of the year. According to the chef, when we visited, these snacks go for about $25 a kilo. For the average Vietnamese, that means the dried wood frogs, tasty as they might be, a rather expensive treat. But for such a labor-intensive snack, from the catching all the way to the hand processing and drying phases, the price is about right for such a satisfyingly crunchy snack. Becoming snacks aren't the only thing that the frogs caught by the children in An Giang is good for. A big portion of the catch will be put into special transport trucks on a trip to Ho Chi Minh City and taken in by restaurants like this one. What's on the menu? Singaporean-style frog congee served fresh and hot in the heart of Ho Chi Minh City. While dried frog snacks can be strange to Vietnamese urbanites, frog congee is familiar to most. The dish itself is all in the name, congee with frog meat added to it. But not just simply cooked frog meat, spiced, marinated, then braised in a clay pot until the meat caramelizes and becomes fragrant. Each portion is a feast all in its own. One of the best spots to get your fill of this tasty porridge is here at a Bao Congee restaurant. The venture was started over 6 years ago by Mr. Bao, one of the co-owners of the restaurant. Today, they've expanded to a second location to serve the same menu that's become a hit with people around the city. His frog congee even drew the attention of people from other provinces. So, what makes a Bao's frog congee so special? Let's start with the ingredients: frog meat and the congee. Every day, fresh frog arrives at the restaurant in ice chests, and before they're unpacked, are given a cursory inspection by the head chef. The frog has already been pre-processed at the butchery, skinned and gutted, so all that the kitchen has to do to prep them for cooking is to give them a wash. Now, watch closely as the frog meat is simmered in a mixture of the restaurant's secret spice blend. At this stage, the aroma that fills the kitchen is incredible. Before the frog is brought out to serve, it's topped with fresh herbs, and depending on how you like it, you can tell the chef to add extra spices like chili flakes too. Apparently, at a bao, you can have 3 different choices for the filler food that's served alongside the frog meat. The white rice congee is the classic choice that's best picked when you're tasting frog meat for the first time. It'll let the full flavor profile of the braised frog shine. If you turn out to like the taste, you can try pandan congee for a unique and interesting combo of flavor. The deeply savory notes of the frog meat makes a perfect pair with the sweet and deep earth flavor of this green porridge. And of course, if you'd like a satisfying meal, you can also opt for white rice as your side of choice, or even with a loaf of bread. While unfamiliar for quite a few people, frog congee has proven itself to be delicious enough to carve a niche for itself in the Vietnamese food scene. The frog meat, with its mahogany color and concentrated umami flavor, contrasted by the velvety congee, creates a dish that's both comforting and exciting. It's a testament to southern Vietnam's culinary. From garden menace, all of these strange animals, chipmunks and frogs, are turned into tasty delicacies. These stories offer us a glimpse into the resourcefulness of rural communities and the unexpected turns that food culture can take. They're definitely not for everyone, but if you dare, the next time you visit southern Vietnam, or better yet, An Giang, ask around. Who knows, you might just find someone who can show you exactly where you need to go to have some grilled chipmunk, or a wholesome frog congee fresh and hot.